Okay, so that is the ABO system. Now let's move on to the RH system. So remember, if my blood type is being negative, that negative part is referring to the RH system. Okay, so the RH system is much easier to understand because all it is another antigen called RH, or sometimes D. If you ever see that, D and RH are the same thing. And so the positive or the negative just refers to whether or not you have that RH antigen. Okay, so if, for example, if you're A positive, that positive just means that you have RH. And if you're B negative, that negative means you do not have RH. Okay, so that's it. You do have it or you don't have it. Okay, so for the RH, let's talk about how they can donate. Or let's talk about receive first. If you are RH positive, which means that you have a positive at the end of your blood type here, that means that you have the RH antigen and you're going to receive blood. So remember, you can always receive from yourself. Can you receive blood from RH negative? Yes. You can also receive blood from RH negative because RH does not have, RH negative means you do not have an antigen. The absence of an antigen is never a problem because there's nothing for the antibodies to bind to. However, if you are RH negative, you can also receive from RH negative, but can you receive from RH positive? No, you can't, because if you have an RH positive, that means that the RH antigen is going to be found on the surface, and that's going to create a response. Now, one thing that is different between the ABO system and the RH system is that the ABO system, the antibodies are already present from birth. You always have those antibodies. For the RH system, they're only going to create antibodies upon a first exposure. Okay, so this could be okay at the beginning, but if this RH negative is going to be exposed to RH positive blood, that will then start a reaction to create antibodies. And then the second exposure would then be the problem, and it would start destroying the cells. Okay, so let me give you an example, a common example of when this is the case. So if you are an Rh negative mother, so specifically a mother who is Rh negative, and the baby, the fetus inside of the mother is an Rh positive baby, which means that it would have to come from the father, the gene comes from the father. And what happens is the placenta, which is the structure right here that's embedded in the wall of the uterus, one of the functions of the placenta is to allow, so it exchanges oxygen and nutrients, but one of the functions is to allow antibodies from the mother to go into the fetus. And this is a good thing because it helps protect the fetal tissues from bacterial and virus invasions, right? So it provides immunity for the fetus. But what can happen is if the Rh negative mother when the Rh negative mother gives birth to the fetus, to the Rh positive fetus, this placenta here is going to be ripped off of the uterus wall, and it's like this really bloody kind of traumatic effect. And so the afterbirth of a fetus coming out of after the fetus comes out, that's the placenta. Right, so it's going to be ripped off, and as it's ripped off, the maternal blood and the fetal blood gets kind of mixed together. Like I said, it's a little bit traumatic, and that makes it so that the Rh negative mother is going to be exposed to this Rh positive blood. And at that point, it's going to start, the mother is going to start creating antibodies against Rh antigens. Okay, so usually the first pregnancy isn't a problem. Usually, unless there's some sort of placental tear or something like that, usually the first pregnancy is okay. But the second pregnancy, after the mother has already been exposed to the Rh positive blood, has those antibodies are going to pass through the placenta and then go into the fetus and start attacking the fetal blood, and that's going to create and cause a miscarriage. So there's a solution for it. Good news. We actually have drugs called Rhogam, and what they do is they can mask and hide the Rh positive, and so what it does is it prevents the mother from creating those antibodies in the first place. It sort of hides it, and so what it does is it makes it so if you get the injection, it's an injection, it goes right into your hip, or kind of your glute area. And when you get the injection, it makes it so the maternal blood won't make the antibodies, and then the second pregnancy should be okay. So if you are Rh negative, you really should look into that to make sure that your fetus is safe, especially if it's an Rh positive daddy. Okay, that's enough for now. See you later.